This is Alexandra with Playing with Wolves, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Nintendo 3DS and the PlayStation Vita. Now, this review isn't really which system is better than the other, it's more of a which system would I recommend for you guys to pick up depending on what type of player you are. So I hope you guys stay tuned and enjoy!
The 3DS is slick and lightweight. It's also got a lot of different ways to play video games like the cartridge system, or you can start downloading your video games, which is actually what I prefer because I don't like carrying around all those different games in my bag. Also, it's got a lot of fun preloaded apps onto the game, like the Mi Plaza, a camera, other cute little games that I'm going to let you find out on your own so I don't ruin all the surprises. Not to mention that they've added an analog stick onto the video game system, which I think is just fun overall.
Before purchasing a handheld, you have to think about several things. One, how many games came out for this handheld would you actually play? And two, how many times will they upgrade this handheld in the next couple of years? And that's what I've learned from Nintendo. I've had the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance, all 3DSs, and now I finally have purchased the Nintendo 3DS. And I waited and waited and waited until this bad boy upgraded to the final upgrade, which is Nintendo 3DS Extra Large. And that's what this one is. And it was totally worth the wait. I love the Extra Large 3DS, mainly because the screen is way bigger and the sound quality of the game is way better. Now, for some people that doesn't really matter, but to me it does. So I waited and waited and waited, and I learned my lesson with the Nintendo DS because they upgraded that thing a bazillion times. A bazillion is exaggeration, but you get what I mean. And 3DS has done some amazing things. So let's go to the pros and cons of 3DS. A lot of pros for this one, and that's mainly because I think Nintendo has done an amazing job in incorporating the different levels of players for one system. I mean, this is definitely for people who haven't really played a lot of video games, maybe have never owned a handheld video game system, and want to try something. Or maybe you're just not that into video games and you're just a casual player and you like to play them from time to time, but you don't want anything too serious, like an RPG, or you just want something fun and quirky. Nintendo 3DS has got your back. They have so many different titles that you can incorporate every different type of player. Even people who don't like video games could enjoy Nintendo 3DS's games. Now, that goes from a list of the classics like Mario, Zelda, Kirby, and then they have some new ones that I've actually really enjoyed, like fashion games, Brain Age, a lot of quirky Mario spin-offs that I would never think were fun but actually are. And if you're a hardcore gamer, you would actually love the 3DS too, because they, like I said earlier, included the classics as well as some new titles that are actually very good. So that's what I love about 3DS. They did such a good job in incorporating all levels of players, from the casual to the hardcore, and that's what I think all systems should really look at before you release it. I mean, you should have a good system that hits a wide area of audiences, and that's what this system does. Now, another cool thing that they've done is they've incorporated a lot of things from the Nintendo Wii into the Nintendo 3DS. So something that I liked from the Wii was the Nintendo Mii, which is MII, which is basically a little character that you can create to look like yourself or whatever you like. And it just lives in your 3DS and you can have a lot of fun with it. So some fun things that they did with the Mii is they actually created a couple of games for the Mii. And also, you can meet other players with their Miis by simply carrying your 3DS around. And if you meet another player, you don't even have to talk to them, you can just pass them. And they have their 3DS, you can capture their Mii and you can go on adventures with all your new friends from around the world. I think that's fantastic. I love systems that bring players together instead of isolating them. And that's definitely a really big thing about the 3DS that I love. Also, the customization. So, as you can see, I got the red one because I love the color red, and they've come out with different colors for the 3DS, and that's something that I absolutely love. If you've got a system that allows me to customize the mess out of it, whether it be in the game or just the system itself, you've got me, because I absolutely love stuff like that. And that's something the 3DS has done that I love, and I think a lot of people will love too. Another thing though, which is the con, is actually the 3D on the 3DS. Now, I know you're saying, Alexandra, why would you buy a 3DS and you don't even want the 3D on it? But hear me out. The 3DS is actually fantastic. It's better than the DS. I like the quality of the graphics better. But the 3D drives me nuts, and I'll tell you why. When you play a game on the 3DS, the 3D, roughly, to make it look right, you have to look into the middle of the screen. And if you look even slightly to the left or slightly to the right, it's going to give you a headache. If not a headache, it's just going to make you cross-eyed or make your eyesight worse, which I think is such a big downfall. I mean, you release a 3D game, but unless I'm looking dead in the center or just roughly in the center, it's going to look like weird. That means when I play, I'm probably going to have to be perfectly still so that I don't mess it up. I just think that's ridiculous, and it makes me not want to play it, so I just turn off the 3D pretty much. Which I'm glad they put that feature on here, because if I couldn't turn off the 3D, I wouldn't have never bought this. Overall, overall to finish it, basically the 3DS is really good for a wide range of players, from young players to older players, and they have games for everybody. And that's something that systems should really think about before releasing. And that's why I think a lot of people have gone for 3DS. And I absolutely love it, and I would definitely suggest it for you guys.
Next up is my review on the PlayStation Vita. I'll see you guys then!